The book Cracking the Code of Light said all of this, and the author of this profoundly challenging work is Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi.
Yeah, and this isn't, I mean, it's not a text you can just skim for high-level summaries. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, requires a really granular level of attention.
Definitely.
Because the text is so dense with these philosophical and spiritual revelations, we have to analyze it almost sentence by sentence. The gravity of the underlying mechanics here is just staggering.
I was literally astonished from page 1. I promise you, the next 20-ish minutes will profoundly challenge your understanding of the universe. So let's look at how the book Cracking the Code of Light actually begins. It doesn't open with, like, a dry academic thesis.
No, not at all.
It starts with this deeply personal communication. It's originally dated October 22, 2013, from something called Monthly Kalendar Shawar, which translates to neutral thinking. And it opens with these blessings.
Right.
It says, received your letter after a long time, and it brought comfort. May Allah keep you happy and make you successful in the blessing you have welcomed.
That framing is so crucial, you know? The author is grounding this massive cosmic exploration in personal mentorship.
Yeah, it feels very human.
Exactly. He is establishing a lineage, like a direct human-to-human transmission of knowledge. It's not just floating in a void.
But then he spans that scope dramatically. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, continues. May Allah keep you happy and accept all our efforts, contemplation, and wisdom in the path of Allah. And then it says, by the spiritual influence of Murshid-e-Karim Kailan Baba Ulya, may the efforts made in the path of the creation's universe, the mercy to the world's prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Allah, the Lord of the world, achieve the status of acceptance.
Okay, notice the specific mechanism he's proposing there. He is framing contemplation and wisdom as vital, active efforts that happen on a universal scale.
Wait, I have to push back on that a little.
Sure.
Because we usually think of an effort as, I don't know, a physical action, right? Like grinding away at a desk, building a house, lifting heavy weights. But here, the book, Cracking the Code of Light, treats quiet contemplation as a cosmic effort. I mean, how does simply sitting and thinking actually do anything? Does thought just echo across the universe?
Well, from the perspective of this framework, spiritual intent and deep contemplation are not just passive internal states. They act more like, well, like a resonance or a wave function.
Good.
The author, Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi, is suggesting that the mental and spiritual energy you expend in seeking truth actually actively interacts with the mechanics of reality. It's a collective effort.
Like it ripples out.
Yeah. It's intertwined with the spiritual influence of past mentors and divine figures. You aren't just thinking inside the closed loop of your own skull. You're literally participating in the fabric of the creation's universe.
Wow. Okay, so if thought is an active participant in reality, that completely changes how we view our traditional tools for measuring that reality, which honestly leads directly to a sentence in the book, Cracking the Code of Light, that frankly just stopped me in my tracks.
The one about science, right?
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting. The author writes, what you have written is life-enhancing and comforting for me. Science, in my view, is actually that limited angle of spirituality, walking upon which, if the light of reality is included in a person's taste or inclination, then it becomes tasawwuf or Sufism.
Yeah, that sentence totally redefines the modern friction between science and spirituality. It forces us to look very closely at that phrase, limited angle.
Because, I mean, my initial reaction was skepticism. How on earth can science be a limited angle? Science builds airplanes, it cures diseases, it splits the atom, it gets incredibly tangible results.
It does.
So how is a system that works so flawlessly considered limited?
Because it operates exclusively on the material layer. The scientific method relies totally on observation, measurement, empirical data, which is great. It's a brilliant system for understanding the physical rules of the universe.
Right.
But it purposefully ignores anything that cannot be placed on a scale or viewed through a lens. Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi is basically arguing that pursuing an understanding of the universe is inherently a spiritual act, but science arbitrarily restricts its own parameters.
Oh, I see. Let's use an analogy to make sense of this mechanism.
Yeah.
Imagine science as a black and white television.
Okay, I like that.
That television is broadcasting a live football game, and everything it shows you is true and accurate, right? The players are moving, the score is correct, the boundaries are there, but it is a limited angle of the reality of that game.
Because it's missing the color.
Exactly. Adding the light of reality, which the book Cracking the Code of Light equates to spirituality, is like upgrading that television to a 4K ultra-high definition color screen. You are watching the exact same game, the exact same universe, but now you're perceiving it in its full, unobstructed truth. Tasawwuf isn't rejecting the television, it is simply plugging it into a higher power source so you can see the colors.
That is a perfect way to put it. The physical laws that science discovers are just the outermost shell of deeper spiritual laws. If you walk the path of science but infuse it with that light of reality, meaning an awareness of the unseen, divine mechanisms behind the physics, you naturally arrive at tasawwuf. You transition from merely measuring the universe to actually comprehending its essence.
But the danger, according to the author, is when we refuse to acknowledge the color broadcast and insist the universe is only black and white. And he immediately addresses this trap. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said, "The real complication in this angle is that we are searching for matter through matter."
That phrase is everything.
It goes on, "But when we measure the days and nights of life and the weeks, hours, minutes, and seconds spent in these days and nights, through mathematical measurement, nothing comes before us except that we are opening things and finding nothing."
Searching for matter through matter. That is the foundational flaw of modern materialism. And it perfectly mirrors the deepest problems in quantum physics today, honestly.
Because we use massive machines made of atoms to look at smaller atoms?
Right. We build a Large Hadron Collider out of physical matter, and we smash physical matter together to find smaller pieces of physical matter. But trying to understand the fundamental essence of reality by doing that is like, well, it's like trying to understand how a beautiful novel was written by throwing the physical book into a wood chipper and examining the shredded pieces of paper.
Oh, man.
That's bleak. You will find pulp, you will find ink, but you will never find the story.
That wood chipper analogy perfectly captures the phrase opening things and finding nothing. When we try to quantify existence mathematically, we just slice it into smaller empty boxes.
Yes.
We take a year, chop it into months, then weeks, hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. But in all that endless mathematical slicing, we never actually locate the essence of life itself. We're just opening boxes to find empty boxes.
Exactly, because mathematics is a descriptive language. It's not the actual substance of reality. Slicing a concept infinitely doesn't yield meaning. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, is warning us that relying solely on mathematical measurement blinds us to the continuous flow of actual existence. We mistake the ruler for the thing being measured.
And if our rulers and microscopes are fundamentally flawed, then our own physical senses have to be scrutinized just as harshly. The author really pushes this boundary. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said, "When an intelligent person reflects on life, nothing is seen except the unseen, or kaib."
Kaib, right.
And then he introduces this incredibly evocative modern metaphor. He says, even if we put the Hubble telescope on our eyes, and if we claim to see something, the question mark arises that whatever we are seeing, why don't we see it in the state of sleep?
We place such absolute faith in our optical nerves, don't we? The Hubble telescope, or, the James Webb today, represents the absolute pinnacle of material sight. We believe that just because we can see a galaxy billions of light years away, we understand reality.
But the book, Cracking the Code of Light, points out the vulnerability of that sight. No matter how powerful the lens is, it can only see the material layer. It is entirely blind to the unseen, the gaib, which is the underlying architecture of life. And to prove how fragile our physical sight really is, Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi points to sleep.
It completely dismantles our arrogance about waking consciousness. Think about it. If waking life, with all its solid desks, ticking clocks, and distant galaxies, is the ultimate reality, why does it entirely vanish the moment our brain chemistry shifts into a sleep state?
It's terrifying when you phrase it like that. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said, "And if we see something in the state of sleep that we are certain of, no new result is formulated, will this become an act of understanding?" And he gives a very simple, grounded example. A man slept, was woken up after 3 hours and asked, "Why did you wake me up? I was sleeping."
Right. Consider the actual mechanism of a dream. While you are inside a dream, the emotional stakes are incredibly high, the visual input feels entirely solid, and your sense of self is fully intact. You are absolutely certain of that reality in that moment.
Oh, for sure. You're running from a monster or flying, and it is 100% real to you.
Exactly. Yet, when you wake up, that entire universe collapses without leaving a single physical trace. The author forces the reader to ask a highly uncomfortable question. If the dream world feels entirely real but is ultimately an illusion, how can we be so certain that the waking world, which we also merely observe through our limited fallible senses, is the ultimate truth?
It suggests our waking life might just be another layer of a dream, simply one bound by stricter physical rules. And man, if our waking senses are as unreliable as a dream, Why do we anchor our entire identity to this physical body?
We really do.
We do. And the book Cracking the Code of Light takes a direct shot at the human ego here. The author writes, age is the name of increasing, decreasing, and decaying until completely disappearing from sight. If the body, the material body, is the reality, then after being buried in the dirt, why does every part of it transform into particles of dirt? Such particles in which we are not seen.
This is where lofty philosophy meets harsh biological reality. We inherently conflate our identity with our biology. We believe we are our faces, our brains, our hands.
I want you to think about this the next time you are sitting in traffic, stressing over a new gray hair, or agonizing over your gym routine. We spend an overwhelming amount of our daily energy feeding, clothing, and worrying about this physical form. And the book, Cracking the Code of Light, bluntly states that this body is fundamentally designed to simply disappear into unidentifiable dirt.
It's liberating, but also, terrifying. Because if the material body is the ultimate reality, then its decay is the ultimate tragedy. It means you are being systematically destroyed by time. But the author's question flips that perspective. When the body decomposes into dirt, where are we in those particles? The mechanism of identity cannot be tied to matter, because when we look at the dirt, we aren't there.
You can't look at the soil covering a grave, point to a specific grain of sand and say, oh, there is his sense of humor. There is her kindness. It is entirely gone from the physical realm. The particles of dirt do not contain consciousness. Therefore, the core of who we are must exist independently of the material vehicle we are currently driving.
Which brings us right back to the enigma of time. If our consciousness isn't made of physical matter, how does it interact with the passage of time?
The book Cracking the Code of Light explores this with a sequence of unanswerable questions that expand on the hook we started with. The author poses this. There is a question. Where were you before you were born? At the time of birth, where did the seconds, minutes, hours, and 365 days and nights go? The question never ended.
See, he shifts the focal point from the inevitable future of decaying into dirt back to the mysterious past. Before biological conception, where was your consciousness located?
And then Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi brings it to the present moment. He writes, what do you think about 10 years? What commentary will be made about 50 years? Think about this yourself and ask your intellectual friends. When I was a one-day-old child, now my age is this many years. Why don't I see these years inside me? These are such questions that often come to the mind of this faker.
That line, why don't I see these years inside me, is just profound. We treat time as if it's this heavy backpack we are lugging around, gradually filling up with years and memories. But when you examine the mechanics of the human body, the backpack doesn't physically exist.
Right. A tree has physical rings inside its trunk. You can cut it open and literally count the years. A human being does not. Our cells undergo biological oxidation and degradation, sure, but time itself leaves no physical residue. You look inside yourself, and the years are just absent. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, reveals time to be a purely unseen force, an illusion generated by our consciousness as it navigates this limited angle of reality.
And notice how the author refers to himself as a faker, a humble seeker of truth. By presenting these reality-shattering questions, he demonstrates that true spiritual intelligence isn't about claiming to have all the empirical answers. It's about asking the precise questions that expose the limitations of the material world.
What I find most remarkable is how the text concludes. After pulling the camera all the way back to the edge of the universe, deconstructing atoms, dissecting time, and challenging the nature of consciousness itself, Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi roots these massive philosophical concepts firmly back into community and divine mission.
Yes, the sign-off.
Right. The book Cracking the Code of Light said, you are a sincere friend. Every person's sincere effort for the promotion and progress of the Azeemi Silsila is acceptable to me. May the sincere struggle and effort and prayer of all of us brothers and sisters in the promotion of the mission of Abdalhaq Huzur Kalandar Abba Aulia, inheritor of Ilmi Laduni from our master, peace be upon him, be accepted. Amin. Step-by-step greetings to all. Your spiritual father, humble fucker, Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi.
It is a brilliant grounding technique. We just spent this entire discussion questioning the very fabric of existence, and then he pulls us right back to the vital importance of human connection. The Azeemi Silsila refers to the specific spiritual lineage and community.
He also mentions Ilmi Laduni. How does that differ from the kind of knowledge a scientist gains in a laboratory?
Well, Ilm Laduni is divinely bestowed knowledge. Empirical knowledge, the kind we get from the Large Hadron Collider or the Hubble telescope, is external. It is gathered by observing the outside world through our limited senses. Ilm Laduni is internal knowledge granted directly to the consciousness. The author is stating that despite the dizzying cosmic questions about time and matter, the ultimate goal isn't to become a detached philosopher floating in a void.
Right.
The goal is sincere human connection, collective spiritual progress, and striving toward that divine internal knowledge alongside your community.
And the book Cracking the Code of Light even includes the author's local address in Surjani Town, Karachi, and a phone number. The contrast is magnificent. You have a towering intellect exposing the illusions of time and matter, operating on a cosmic frequency, and then he provides a local phone number.
So practical.
It proves that spiritual mastery isn't about escaping the physical world. You can live fully in the practical daily grind, dealing with traffic and gray hairs, while keeping your consciousness anchored in a profound spiritual reality.
Because knowledge only possesses true value when it's understood and applied. That address and phone number symbolize accessibility. It shows that the purpose of understanding the unseen isn't isolation. It's to remain present in the world, to be accessible, and to guide others through the illusions of matter and time.
It fundamentally changes how you view your own existence. We are not just decaying bodies measuring empty boxes of time. We are a consciousness navigating a limited angle of reality, fully capable of tuning into a much greater frequency if we simply add the light of reality to our perspective.
Absolutely. And as we conclude this analysis, I want to leave you with one final thought to explore on your own, building directly on the mechanics we've unpacked today.
Please do.
We've established the premise from Muhammad Nasiruddin Azeemi that time leaves no visible, physical trace inside your body. We've explored the concept that your material form is a temporary vehicle destined to become an unidentifiable bird. If your body is essentially an illusion, and the time you've spent inside it has left no physical mark, what is the actual substance that makes up your memories, your personality, and your consciousness right now? If the architecture of who you are is not made of matter, and it is not made of time, what exactly is it made of?
Thanks for watching and listening to this podcast, which will enhance your knowledge and will change your vision towards your health and its cure through colors. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and forward it to like-minded people. Also subscribe, join our WhatsApp channel, which link is given below. Allah Hafiz.